All right, go live.
It's
All
on.
right. All right.
It's on.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be your first broadcast without a little bit of
Technical
technical
difficulties.
difficulties,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Which means in the middle of us talking, we're going to hear our intro music.
Right.
Uh, Her Barrage podcast, our first live broadcast. Rodg, are you feeling a little nervous?
You know what? It's funny. I'm surprisingly a little nervous, but I'm also anxious and a little excited too. So it's a mixture of emotions right now. But glad to be here.
I thought we were going to wear suits for tonight.
We did, but I went over to Men's Warehouse, and I was not willing to pay that money right now for a suit. I was like, I just cannot do it right now, especially after we had the production meeting last night. Just budget is just not where it needs to be.
And of course, you got to thank Willie and the Shakeback Media Group for inviting us into this opportunity.
Yes.
We're definitely going to enjoy it. We will try to at least get 3 or 4 broadcasts under our belt before we get kicked off the air.
Right.
So
just trying to get some notoriety out there right now. So yeah.
Yes, sir. So not sure if Willie's jumping in here for a second. So if not, I think we're going to go ahead and get started.
Let's proceed. Indeed.
So we were playing around with what order we wanted to do stuff tonight. Let's be honest, right? Because we were like, is this, are people going to be open to let me back up. Okay. When I first met Willie and Tisha, had the first meeting when we were talking about all this, I was wearing Alabama gear, of course, right?
Of course. We always do, yeah.
Yes. It was met with a collective, oh, man.
one of you guys again. Oh,
yeah, so I was already, we didn't start on the best foot, but they've been welcome with open arms. Yeah, and I was even talking about Willie today, like what order I wanted to go in with the show and talking with you and stuff. And he was like, man, go with what you know. So we're starting with the SEC tournament.
Let's do it. Okay.
Of course, Rodg, you just mentioned right before we went on air, Alabama has slipped to number 4 with that latest loss. But let's be honest, they have not looked like they're trying to keep the number 1 seed.
We haven't. And even going into the game this past weekend, I kind of had a feeling that was going to be an L. I was happy that we beat Auburn on Wednesday and secured the regular season SEC championships because I knew that the game Saturday in College Station was going to be tough. So I'm not saying I'm not going to say I'm okay with the loss, but I handled it better than normal than most losses because I kind of expected us to lose. We did. We're currently 26-5, like you said, Herb. We slid down 2 spots to number 4, so I'm okay with that. So now we got the SEC tournament coming up, starting.
For everybody else, Wednesday, yes. Alabama and Texas A&M both got the double byes.
That's why I hesitated before I said when it started, because I know for us it starts on Friday, but the actual tournament itself starts Wednesday.
Right. So your first matchup, which you probably will not be tuning in to watch, Florida and Mississippi State.
I will not be turning into that.
Yes. I'm going to pick Mississippi State. Florida lost their big guy down the stretch there. And honestly, they just look like a team that wants the season to be over.
Yep. So, and I also picked Mississippi State, too, because if you remember, they played us. I want to say we played them in January. They played us really well in that January game. And I want to say it was in Coleman Coliseum. We won 66-63. Tough game. They got some good big men.
How'd you memorize that off the top of your head?
I did a little bit of research. And plus, I got Bob, who will be introduced at a later time.
Bob is Rodg's production assistant. And if you're wondering why he has one and I don't, it's because he's the talent.
Oh, wow. Come on.
Yes, come on. Yes. We're still trying to figure out what I'm bringing to the table.
Your name first.
Because I was born first. So
that's true. Yes. But Mississippi State, they played Alabama really tough that first game. So I think we're both going to take them over Florida. So that will set up a matchup with Bama versus Mississippi State on Friday.
Yep. And I guess I skipped a couple ones just because of the way I did my bracket. USC and Ole Miss play first, and the winner plays Tennessee. I don't really care about that because I do think Tennessee takes that game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Ole Miss and then Tennessee. Even though they lost their point guard, I think Tennessee has enough to handle the bottom feeders.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But even though Tennessee beat Alabama, they haven't looked good down the stretch either. That wasn't their point guard. And honestly, it comes down to offense. When the defense is clicking, it's really, really good. But it's kind of like Virginia a couple of years ago. You're either going to get bounced in the first round or win the whole thing.
Yeah,
it seems like there's no in between for Tennessee. But
yeah,
I do think they had. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I got. I have South Carolina beating Ole Miss in the first game.
You just guessed.
I didn't really guess, but I kind of wanted to pick what we sometimes refer to as an anti-herd pick.
Wow.
I'm just picking the opposite of what you're picking, simply for entertainment. So nice.
Who does that entertain? Who does that entertain?
It entertains me, really, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, I mean, then we have either South Carolina or Ole Miss playing Tennessee, but I think we both have Tennessee winning that game anyway.
All right, sounds good to me. Missouri has a bye. I think Missouri's going to beat the bye in the first round, and they'll end up with Tennessee in the second round. Kentucky also got a bye, so that gives you Georgia and LSU in the first round, and the winner gets Vanderbilt. Georgia and LSU are both teams that really just wish the season was over.
LSU just kind of fell off. Was it 1 or 2 years ago when they had a really good team? Was it like Trenton Watford?
Yeah, and then they went under
Cam Thomas
and Cam Newton. They went under. Just see it if I got
you.
No,
I paid attention because I remember when they had Cam Thomas and Cam Thomas was scoring, and then when he got drafted by Brooklyn, I said Brooklyn kind of got to steal in the draft because he could put up some points, and we've seen
that's what he does. Yeah,
in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But
is there any truth to the rumor that he wanted Kyrie and KD out of there just so he could shine?
I don't think so because I think he knew that eventually he would get his time to shine, but you don't want those two guys to leave. That's gonna leave it tough up for them, but we'll get to that. We'll get to the Brooklyn Nets a little later, I guess, or whether it's today or another time.
Yeah,
so in the LSU Georgia matchup, who do you have?
Nobody.
Nope.
Anybody watching this game is losing. I'm gonna pick Vanderbilt to beat them in the next round. So I honestly don't.
Okay, fair enough.
If I have to pick a winner, I'm gonna go Georgia because they beat them in football. And by the way, anybody wondering why does it translate? Is that not how it works?
I don't know, but for today's show, this is how we're gonna make it work.
Okay, we're gonna make it work. Right. So, and for people who wonder, why they started the SEC basketball tournament, we're Alabama fans. Yes. Usually by this point of the year, we're totally tuned out and we don't care. So we're just happy to still have some skin in the game with Alabama being ranked. So yes, that's why we're still following it. All right, so that gives you Vandy, and I'm picking Vandy over whoever comes out of that rock fight.
I do too. Okay.
It's weird. Vandy, so if you go to ESPN, Vandy is under the category of still work left to do to get in or a slim chance. They basically might need to win the SEC tournament to get into the SEC. I mean, to get into the NCAA tournament.
Who, Vandy?
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. I mean, I don't see Vandy winning the whole. But I think 1 or 2 wins can kind of help their chances a little bit. I'd have to take a look at Lunardi's, bracketology and all that type of stuff to see who the first 4 in, first 4 out, because it seems like it changes every other hour.
Yeah.
I don't know where Vandy stands on that, but based on what you said, I guess they're not going to be in the tournament because they're not winning this. All
right, and then you got the last one up, Auburn and Arkansas.
Yes, this could be an interesting matchup.
I'm taking Arkansas.
And this is not an anti-her pick, but I was going to pick Auburn based on how they played us and how well they played us. So
I think they only got well pick them based on how they played Kentucky. Look, Rodg, friends don't let friends pick Auburn.
That is true.
That's one of the rules of the show.
Hey, T-shirt alert. T-shirt alert.
Friends don't let friends pick Auburn. Right. What if we alienate all of our Auburn friends?
We can still be friendly with them.
Okay.
Amicable.
That word of the day, toilet paper, kicks in once again.
So I got Auburn, you got Arkansas. Regardless, they both have to play A&M, which is currently number 2. A&M just beat Alabama in College Station this past Saturday, which we previously mentioned. I'm going to take A&M to win that game on Friday anyway. And then in the semis, I have A&M against Kentucky.
I have Arkansas versus Kentucky, but go ahead.
Okay. That's fair. I can see that happening. Speaking of Kentucky, it's surprising to see them at number 3, where they started the season out. Then coming to Tuscaloosa, when was that, back in January, getting blown out. We beat it, wasn't like by 20, I think 26 points.
Right.
I don't remember the exact
score. It was ugly by the end.
Yeah.
I think that the at somewhere around the 5-minute mark, Alabama stopped scoring, so that they made it look a little closer than it was. But it was an ugly game.
And even around that time, we even heard the rumors about Calipari possibly heading to Texas for like $10 million or something, and obviously that didn't come to fruition. But anyway, to see that, I have Kentucky winning their first game on Friday, and I think they're going to play against whoever wins. Yeah, because I don't know if Vandy's going to beat either LSU or Georgia, but let's just say hypothetically speaking, Vandy wins. I think Kentucky beats Vandy.
Kentucky's beating Vandy, and Vandy is beating one of those two. If you put Georgia and LSU's team together, they're not beating Vandy. That's how bad those two teams were this year.
Yep.
So at the top of the bracket, you got Tennessee versus Missouri.
Yeah. I think Missouri team is playing pretty well. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was surprised Missouri was a 4 seed. Like they totally slipped under my radar.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Alabama against Tennessee. And then obviously okay, who do you got? Go ahead.
I'm going Bama versus Mizzou.
Really?
I just feel like Mizzou got their best player back, I think, a couple games ago.
Okay.
Tennessee just feels like they're limping into the tournament, losing Ziegler.
And no pun intended because the guy tore his ACL, but the limping. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That was our first on-air joke. I'm sorry.
So anyway, I got Bama versus Mizzou and Kentucky versus Arkansas.
I have Bama versus Tennessee and Kentucky versus Texas A&M. So who do you got in the championship game, and what is your prediction for the championship?
Bama versus Kentucky. So for purposes of this exercise, I was going to say, because I know you were going to pick Bama to win the whole thing, I was going to pick somebody else. But as I go through my bracket, I'm like, the way this falls, obviously I could just pick Texas A&M and Alabama could go up against them. But I feel like Kentucky's kind of playing a little bit better. And A&M, they caught Alabama at the right time. They're playing at home. Alabama was limited to the end of the season. I think the double bye will help. But I'm taking Kentucky over, to get to the finals. It's hard for me to pick Kentucky over Bama, given how the first game went.
It is. I was going to say the same thing. I also have Alabama versus Kentucky, but had that first game, and I don't think it had anything to do with us playing in Tuscaloosa, but had it been a closer game, maybe 5-7 point game, maybe I would have thought differently. But we won by, like I said, I have to look up the actual score of the game, but I want to say it was like by 20, 26 points. It was never really close. Oscar the big number 34 for Kentucky, Oscar Tshiebwe.
Yes.
Oscar, if you just happen to be listening, I hope I pronounced your last name right. He didn't play well that game. We just shut it down in all areas on the court. So with that being said,
did you really just say if he happens to be listening tonight?
Hey, there's always hope, buddy. There's always hope. So with that being said, I think we both have Alabama winning the SEC tournament, and hopefully, with that said, they're going to go into March Madness as a 1 seed in the bracket. So
I feel like, as long as they win the first game and don't get blown out in the second, they could be a number 1 seed. But if they get to the championship game, I think they're going to be a 1 seed. But obviously, got to see how some other tournaments shake out. Which
of course
will be the second part of our picks. Now, obviously, we're not going to go into depth in all these other tournaments. We follow the SEC and really mostly football, so you'd be lucky that we talk any basketball. But as far as the other tournaments go, your ACC tournament, Miami is your 1 seed, which is just shocking. Virginia, Clemson, and Duke, those are your 1 through 4 seeds. Obviously, North Carolina is lurking in there somewhere, but
I don't even know what their seed is. I'm not even going
from number 1 to all. They're not in the tournament right now. They have to make a good ACC tournament run to win. But are you picking one of the top 4 seeds to win? Or are you picking a North Carolina? I don't feel like anybody else is really relevant outside of these.
I think it has to be. So with that said, do you want to know who I picked to win the whole thing, or
who's winning the whole thing?
I want you to guess who you think I'm going to pick.
Duke.
I'm picking Duke.
Oh,
I'm picking Duke. They're 23-8 right now. They're actually in the top 25, which really is completely irrelevant to this tournament.
It's almost like I've known you your whole life.
Why?
Because I knew that you would pick Duke.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just got Duke, and what's the guy? The big freshman down low, is it Flipowski? I think. Again, I hope I pronounce his last name right. I think he's playing really, really well right now. And
apologies to his family if not.
Apology to the Flipowskis. T-shirt alert. T-shirt alert. Anyway, Duke's 23-8, and even though they're ranked number 4 in the ACC tournament, I'm going to go with Duke. Who do you got winning the whole thing?
Oh man, nobody.
See, you don't even know.
Because I don't like anything. It's like, I was reading an article about this before we came on, and that person had Virginia versus Duke, and I was like, that doesn't sound bad, but Virginia's been so up and down. I don't believe in teams that play that slow pace. So you know what? I'm just going to give it to Miami.
Just because they're ranked number 1?
And because I like Wong.
You might as well say you're going with Miami because you like the nightlife.
I do like the nightlife. Except the nightlife for me, though, ends at like 9 because I'm too old for all that.
I don't blame you. Hey, if someone wants to go out at 9:05, I'm not doing it.
No, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. We should have left the house at 6:30, buddy. I'm sorry.
And I need my plans like 2 or 3 weeks in advance. I can't do same day things. Yeah.
If you give me 2 or 3 weeks in advance, though, I'm giving you 2 or 3 excuses for me to get out of it. So that's not happening either.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks from now, I'm definitely gonna be sick that day.
I feel a cough coming on already.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Oh Lord.
Anyway,
with the other 2 tournaments, I think we were gonna go into before we got off on tangent. The Big Ten tournament, again, without going too much into depth. The seeding, the top 4 seeds in the Big Ten tournament, we got Purdue at number 1, Northwestern at number 2, Indiana.
Which is a shocker.
Yeah, I know. Indiana at 3, and Michigan State at a 4. I'm kind of torn between Purdue and Indiana. I think Indiana beat Purdue earlier in the season, but I think Purdue's going to want the revenge, and I'm going to go with the number 1 seed Purdue to win the Big Ten. What do you say?
I'm going with Indiana. We did this pick kind of like a fantasy college basketball thing that I do every year.
Okay.
And you pick a team from every conference, and I ended up with Indiana from the Big Ten. So I'm going to pick them to win because if they win, I get more points.
That's one way to look at it.
Hey, that is your fantasy football strategy. So we're talking about something. So I'm going to go with Indiana to win the tournament. Now I know Northwestern beat Purdue this year, but there was like no buzz about them for 99% of the year. So that's why I'm a little shocked to see them at a number 2 seed.
Yeah.
But I'm taking Indiana.
Okay. I got Purdue. You got Indiana.
Yep. The Big 12. Kansas, Texas, K-State, and Baylor in that order. Big 12 is tough.
It is. I think it's going to come. It is. No. I think it's going to come down to between Kansas and Baylor. Without looking at the bracket to see how that's going to line up.
Well, because they're the 1 and 4 seed, they can't play in the championship game.
So, okay, so they're going to be in this. You're right. I should.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called math. Look it up.
It's called math. Look it up.
Somebody should say it's actually not math, or it's just how brackets work.
Yeah, it's just bracketology. So.
Bracketology, yes.
With that being said, I think I'm going to go with Grady Dick and Kansas to win the Big 12. Why are you shaking your head? I didn't even complete my sentence.
Because of his last name, there's so many jokes that are going in my head right now, and I'm like, probably none of those.
Not right now.
Yeah,
not right now.
That's why. No, I'm picking Kansas. Defending national champs. Probably, they've run through a gauntlet. Getting number 1 in the Big 12 is way better than getting like the number 1 seed in the SEC. I have to admit. Yeah. So I'm going to reward them for their whole year. Now, Kansas is one of those teams. I mean, they don't have to win this tournament to stay a number 1 seed. I don't think. So
right.
Purdue looked much more shaky at the end of this year, and in Houston. Probably going to easily win their tournament, but I think Kansas is almost a lock as the number 1 seed. But I think they win this tournament also.
Yeah, and let's not mention Houston anymore. I've been telling you this all year, pretty much all season. Looking at Houston's schedule, I said they really have not played anybody. We beat them. They lost to Temple, beat them, an unranked Temple, and they barely beat Memphis this past Saturday. I think they won that game winner. What?
Don't hate.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying.
It looks bad on you.
I'm just saying, and is it a conspiracy that the Final Four just happens to be in Houston
right
this year?
Right.
And Houston's been ranked number. I'm just saying.
You know what? The Final Four will never be in Tuscaloosa, so there's no conspiracy there. Okay.
We need to build some more restaurants and like ice cream shops and coffee shops and stuff.
No, they're probably building like 4 bars and hotels as we speak.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa.
And they'll all be like inside Nick Saban's house. So
yeah, basically. When you go to Tuscaloosa, people are like, "What do you do here?" Well, you could get drunk over there.
Yeah.
Or you get drunk over there. That's what you do. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, after you're drunk, yeah, go to Waffle House. All right, and then the Pac-12 is the last one we were going to pick. UCLA, Arizona, USC, and Oregon. You really got to feel like it's only the top 2 and everybody else is junk.
Yeah.
So these 2 teams split during the year.
Yep.
I feel like they're going to have the trilogy, and I'm going with Arizona for the exact same reasons why I picked Indiana, though.
I'm going with UCLA, also known as UCLA, and I'm also
only because you like saying UCLA.
That's part of the reason why I picked them. That's like a small percentage of the reason I picked them. But UCLA has had a good team over the past few years, and I'm also going to make another bold prediction right now. UCLA is going to the Final Four this year.
They have tickets? Are they watching?
As a contesting team.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I think UCLA is going to the Final
We'll
Four.
see if you're still talking that junk next week when we do the bracket special. Okay. All right.
I'm glad this is being recorded, so we can't go back and say, "Oh, I can't believe Rodg was right." Yep.
First off, I know how to edit, so we could go back and I can say anything I want.
Oh, is it gonna be one of those things where my mouth is moving, but somebody else's voice is? Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it a woman's voice.
UCLA is gonna go to number 3. Right?
I'm gonna make it a woman's voice. So the guy, UCLA is gonna go to like that's how it's
gonna be.
I'm not even gonna make it close, buddy. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up all the college basketball tournaments. If there's a few tournaments out there we didn't talk about, sorry, we acknowledge you guys. So
like whatever conference UConn is in these days would have probably been a good one to pick, but
are they not in the Big East?
I don't know anymore. I'm too old to like keep up with all this stuff anymore.
Gotcha.
But now we can transition into a little bit of basketball.
Okay. Okay.
Oh gosh, are you getting?
I'm excited. I think I know where we're going, but go ahead.
You want to start with that, or do you want to break people in and then we'll go into it?
Hey, you're the leader. Go ahead. Your name's first. You were born first. You do it. Go ahead.
Let's start this way then first, and then we'll talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay.
Right now, after the trade deadline, All-Star game, all this kind of stuff, roughly 20-something games left. Right. Who are your top 6 teams? 3 from each division.
Top 6 teams, 3 from each division.
Honestly, the East is easy. The East is is Boston, Milwaukee, and then Philly. So I guess the real question here.
But are you asking me like who do I think are the best 3 are, or are we just going off?
Who do you think the best 3 are? No, you don't. I'm not even looking at the standings right now. I'm telling you that if you pick anybody in the East other than those 3, we're gonna have to shut the show down.
What about Cleveland?
Cleveland, I think, is still clear for. I think they could probably use like a small forward or another forward somewhere in there. I think they're still trying to gel. But if I had to pick now, picking Philly in a series is not really good because James Harden and Doc Rivers are not good playoff people.
Right.
So I think the East is really still going to be Boston versus Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But those would still be my top 3. If you're taking Cleveland, who are you bumping? Philly?
No. I basically had Philly and Cleveland kind of tied. I really like Cleveland, and it's not because LeBron used to play there because I'm a LeBron fan. Anyway, I just like Cleveland because they haven't. Don't do that. All right, come on, you gotta listen. Cleveland has a good, nice young team. They got a young core. They got bigs. They got Darius Garland is a phenomenal guard. Cleveland just has a really good team. So I would not be surprised if they move up into that 3 seed, even though they're 2.5 games back right now. I don't know if that's going to happen. With that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and agree with you that it's Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, but Cleveland is lurking there.
Do you believe in the Knicks?
Great minds think alike. I was just about to ask you, are you sold on the Knicks? I am not sold on the Knicks. I don't believe in the Knicks. I know Stephen A. Smith is doing backflips because he loves the Knicks, etc. Blah, blah, blah.
Won a tough game against Boston last night.
They did. But they're not making it to the best luck with New York this year in second round, maybe.
Right, which means like the way the seedings fall right now, they would be on the road in a series with Cleveland to start the year, right?
Yep. No.
And then they would have to face. Then they would have to face Boston in a 7. I know they got them last night, but in a 7-game series, I'm taking Boston.
I'm right there with you, and I have Boston coming out the East.
Yeah.
So the West,
I have Milwaukee, but that's for another.
That's for another discussion.
Yeah, it's another discussion.
But I think the West is a little more exciting based on everything that.
I do have to say this: I'm rooting for Milwaukee because I'm more of a fan.
Okay.
I will admit that I think Boston is the best team in the East and the deepest, and probably the most versatile.
Yep.
So I think Milwaukee has to have everybody on every game to beat Boston.
So you indirectly just said Boston's a better team, so that's cool.
So this is something announcers do, Rodg. I can say I like Milwaukee, but I respect Boston. So whichever one wins, I can go see. I told you. Tricks of the trade, buddy. Tricks of the trade.
I'm writing that down right now.
Yes.
Anyway, I think the Western Conference is going to be a little more exciting based off everything that happened at the trade deadline, and a lot of these things I didn't see coming. When Kyrie made the announcement he wanted to be traded, I didn't see that coming. And then
it's like he waited until he was playing really well to say I want
exactly.
That was amazing.
So with that being said, my top 3 in the West are Denver. Don't worry, I see who's at number 2, but I don't know. Memphis is at number 2, but I don't know. I'm gonna have Denver, Phoenix, and I'm gonna go with the Clippers. I know, and let me explain. Earlier on in the season, I picked the Clippers to win the championship. This is before the Russell Westbrook trade.
Right.
I still think they have what it takes to make it to the championship if Kawhi Leonard can stay healthy.
Was that trade a positive or a negative?
Seriously, I think that's a really good question. Because they're like, since the trade, they're what, 1-5, I believe, or 1-4, 1-5. They just won last night.
Yeah, they gave up 51 points in one quarter and had to come back.
I know that was ridiculous to Memphis with no John Morant, no Dylan Brooks, no Steven Adams. They gave up 51 in the quarter. I don't know. I really don't know if it was a good or a positive or negative. I'm kind of leaning towards a negative simply because of Russ's decision making at times.
Right.
But when you look at last night, he didn't play too bad last night. But then again, he didn't shoot the ball too much last night. So
right.
I'm kind of stuck in the middle there, to be honest with you. I don't know.
But you don't think it's bad enough though where you're still picking them as a top 3 team?
No, I still think they're gonna make it out they're gonna make it to the Western Conference Finals. That's what I think for the
really.
So to kind of handle my initial comment, I got Denver, Phoenix, and the Clippers.
Denver, Phoenix, and the Clippers. I agree with Denver and Phoenix. No matter what happens, I hope Dallas and Phoenix play a 7-game series.
Oh, man.
Because they're already going at each other's throats.
Yeah.
I think Dallas's problem is they have the same problem before Kyrie as afterwards.
What's that?
So before, Luka was playing high minutes, high usage, and he was getting exhausted by the end of games.
Yes.
Now he and Kyrie are both playing high minutes, high usage, and they're both getting exhausted. That's why Dallas is blowing a lead in every single game they play.
Right.
They beat some team the other night. I can't remember what team that was. Came back from like 28 points down against them. Can't remember.
The Lakers.
Was it? I can't. Anyway,
the disrespect. Oh my God.
Some team came back behind. So, well, you know what? This is a good time to go in and introduce a segment.
What is it?
It's the Lakers Minute.
Yes.
I am not a Lakers fan or a LeBron fan.
Okay.
So that's why we limit this to a minute for anybody who's listening, so I don't get bored.
And before I get my 1 minute in, let me clarify. I'm not necessarily a Lakers fan. I'm just a huge LeBron fan. And to answer your question, everybody's listening, if LeBron plays on the Timberwolves one day, then yes, I will root for the Timberwolves. I will follow LeBron.
All right.
Just put that out there.
So you ready for our Lakers update?
You have an hourglass?
I have a timer, yes.
This is some good. Just let me know when it starts.
2, 1, go.
All right, so the Lakers are currently at 11th at 31-34. We beat oh my gosh, we just won a game. We beat Golden State on yesterday. Good thing about where we are right now, there's a good and bad. All right, stop doing that. The good thing is that we're in the 11th spot, but New Orleans plays at Sacramento tonight. If New Orleans loses this game, they'll be 31-34, but I think Los Angeles will hold the tiebreaker with New Orleans because Los Angeles beat them 2 out of 3 games this year. So if I'm correct, that means the Lakers will move up in the 10th. Stop it. Move up in the 10th. The bad part, obviously, is LeBron will be reevaluated, I guess, in another 2 weeks. And I'm going to go on record saying I just think that injury might be a little more severe than what they're telling us. And I hate that it happened right now. I hate anybody getting injured, to be honest with you. But I hate that it happened right now. And I don't know if LeBron plays in the month of March. But the Lakers should be in the 10th spot after tonight if we want to go to Sacramento. Thank you for my 1 minute. Hopefully, it'll be upgraded to 2 minutes 1 year.
I don't know that it's in the budget to get you 2 minutes. I'm sorry.
Anything I want is probably not going to be in your budget, but
yes.
Okay.
I'm also going to say something too. I think the East is getting the champion this year, but I said that last year. You saw how that turned out. So
I agree. I think it. Okay. Do you think it's going to be Milwaukee? Even though you kind of said you like the Celtics.
If Milwaukee gets past Boston, I think they're winning the whole thing because I think Boston, the toughest team they face.
I think Boston's winning the whole thing. So yeah, but we agree on that. It's going to come out the East. Yeah.
Would you vote for Jokic to win MVP if 100% I told you they were not winning the title this year? What if I told you they were not even going to make the Western Conference Finals? It was a guarantee.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make it the way. I think again with Denver, it comes down to if Murray and Porter Jr. can stay healthy.
So what I'm kind of getting at with that question though is there's like a little bias against giving him 3 in a row for a guy.
Has anybody ever won 3 in a row?
Yeah, there has been, and of course, if we were better at our jobs, we'd be able to tell you.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. Have him winning and not like winning the whole thing is kind of like a bias against like, do you want to give somebody a 3-time champion who's not an NBA champion, a 3-time MVP?
If it's not him, who's getting it then?
Probably Embiid.
Okay, I can see that happening.
Yep. I would have thought Tatum would have been higher in this discussion.
Yeah,
but I guess he's had a couple off games. Plus, their team is so deep.
Yeah,
but I thought
with Jaylen Brown on there, it's kind of hard to do that. But I could see it happening. I just don't think he's going to get it simply because of the 3 times in a row issue. And again, not being biased to LeBron. LeBron probably could win MVP 4 or 5 times in a row.
Lakers minute is over. Lakers.
This is a LeBron 15 seconds.
No.
Okay. Shout out to LeBron.
Well,
Listening.
I do have a game for you real quick, though.
What's that?
All right. I call the game Jordan, Pippen, Rodman.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a player, and you tell me where they slot in. Obviously, if I tell you the person you call Jordan, that means if they're the best player on your team, you can win. Pippen meaning, hey, if there's the second best, you can win. And
okay.
Rodman, third best. So like, it's an example. Oh, I guess for
Draymond Green would be Rodman.
Yeah. And I was going to say Curry, Clay, Draymond.
Okay.
Would be another example. Or if you really just wanted it, you could do LeBron, Kyrie, Love.
Well, LeBron, LeBron, Jordan.
Anyway, you ready?
Okay, yes. Go ahead.
I got you 3 names. Okay?
Go ahead.
Damian Lillard.
Pippen. I don't think Damian Lillard. I love Damian Lillard. Actually, we both do.
One of my favorites. Yep.
One of our favorite players, but I just don't think he's ever going to be able to lead a team to the championship. And I understand lead Portland to a championship. And I understand he wants to be loyal. I understand that and stay there and do things what some people call the right way. But Portland's not winning the championship with Damian Lillard as their star. He's going to need somebody else. So, and I do like Anthony Simons on the team, though. He's a good young talent, too. But
I think they put together nice pieces here and there, but never enough to win him a championship. But if they went to a place where he was like the second best and you've got a guy like that as your second best, I like it.
Could you imagine him on the Lakers with the –
All right, so Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler.
Oh. I kind of want to lean towards more towards – well, they made the championship in the bubble year with Jimmy Butler leading that team. I think I'll stick with Pippen on this one, though. It's good player, good two-way player, but I don't think he can lead a team to a title.
Right.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I think the lack of outside shooting kind of hurts him.
Gotcha.
He's a tough guy, great defender. And I think, like, when you go back to the Dame argument, if he was a better defender, maybe a little bit bigger player, maybe I could see that. But it's tough as a smaller guard to be the best.
I agree.
Unless you're Steph Curry and you're just out of this world. But he also, played in a really great system, too, as well, Golden State. So I think Curry had the best of both worlds. And your third name for today, Joel Embiid.
That's a good one. I'm kind of leaning towards Jordan.
A healthy Joel Embiid for a whole series. I think it's like a healthy Joel Embiid for a whole playoffs.
Yep.
I think leans more Jordan than anything else.
I think he'd be Jordan and Harden would be his Pippen, I guess, so to speak, in this scenario. So I'm gonna leave with Jordan with Embiid.
Right. And then maybe they just need to. I guess Tyrann Maxey would be the Rodman. So then what's missing? They need a Phil Jackson on the sideline.
Yeah. I got one name for you since we're playing this game. Just one name.
Okay. Jordan.
LeBron James. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. LeBron James.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Notice how I was playing the game and I picked people who hadn't won titles.
Right.
That's how you play the game.
Well, LeBron's won so many titles. All right. Go ahead.
So just because we're on other platforms, we're going to take a 30-second break.
Okay.
To take a drink. And that way we can cut it for later whenever we post it out there. And then we're going to jump right back into it. So
let's do it.
You're listening to the Rodg podcast, available on every streaming platform known to man.
Known to man.
Your 30 seconds starts now. All right. The quickest 30 seconds in sports history. Rodg podcast. Our first time live streaming. Rodg, how do you feel in the first 30 minutes in the books?
I feel good so far. We've got some, good content in, talking about some real interesting stuff. I feel good. I feel pretty good. How about you?
What we're gonna do for this whole next week is do better. Is we want to get some comments during the show.
Yes,
so we're gonna do better about that part. But otherwise, I've enjoyed it. It's been good. Obviously, thanks to the Shakeback group for having us on here. Willie and Tisha have been driving forces behind helping us set up. So we really greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
Time to move on. Got to have a little college football news in every segment. Probably I guess bigger for us is, you're going to hear this phrase a lot. Nick Saban was upset.
Yeah.
Which is, Nick Saban seems like the kind of guy that if you give him the wrong cereal in the morning, he probably gets upset at it, or that wasn't according to plan.
Yeah.
He was like, he wanted his Fruit Loops and you gave him some, Frosted Flakes. I just could see that happening at the Saban household. He was upset with the realignment coming in that they wanted to give Alabama, LSU, Auburn, and Tennessee. So first off, I understand where he's coming from. Those are three hard teams. I understand, though, where the SEC is coming from. Because if you had to name, first off, you have to have Auburn and Tennessee.
Right.
Alabama has to play those two teams.
We play them every year, yeah.
You have to.
So are you saying you wish they would have replaced LSU with somebody else?
If you were going to give them an easier time, it would have to be replacing LSU.
Okay.
But if you were naming Alabama's biggest rivals in the SEC, LSU would have to be number 3 after those two, is my feeling.
True.
But what's your take on it?
I mean, honestly, I'm just being honest with you. I'm kind of okay with this since we play them every year anyway. And then there's going to be certain years when some of these teams are going to have off years. I'm not including us. We pretty much, not bragging, but we're pretty much on pretty much every single year. We don't win a national championship.
Stop. Let me stop you.
I'm not bragging.
Do you not remember when we came to Tuscaloosa?
I remember.
It was nothing but off years.
And for those listening, we moved to Tuscaloosa in 1994, and we did not have a great team. We had won the national championship. The 92 season, we won the national championship. But then 94, and pretty much for a while there, we just had some up and down seasons. So we finally won the SEC championship in 1999, I believe, is when we beat Florida.
Yeah.
But we experienced some really, really rough years. So with that said, I was okay with those three because I think they will be really, really good games. And I don't think Tennessee is going to be good every year, and LSU is going to be on and off some years. So and Auburn, I mean, like you said with Auburn and Tennessee, we play them every year anyway. So I think we need to keep those rivalries.
I think those are our two biggest rivals, so we need to keep them. If Nick really wants to change this, what he has to do is start trash talking Vanderbilt. Like if he wants to create a rivalry with somebody, start trash talking Vanderbilt.
How do you even trash talk Vanderbilt? What do you say?
Your GPA isn't as high as it should be.
But it is. I wouldn't even know how to entertain that. But
do you remember when Vanderbilt trash talked Alabama and lost like 55?
Yes, because I remember. I forgot the guy's name, but I remember seeing it on YouTube. But he's like, "We want Bama," and then we went and just like destroyed them. So, yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with the whole realignment.
So if you replace LSU though, who would you give Bama instead?
Is this considering Texas, Oklahoma being in the SEC at the time? I kind of like OU. Because I just, again, it goes back to I just don't know how good OU is going to be over the next few years. Right. And I think they'll have good seasons, and I think they'll have bad seasons. But I think that would make for an interesting matchup. But then again, to your point, playing OU, Auburn, and Tennessee every year can be challenging. Yeah, very challenging. So
somebody's going to get off because somebody's going to get Vanderbilt and Missouri every year.
Yeah, yeah.
That'll be nice. And who are you giving Georgia? Is Georgia also getting Auburn?
No, I guess they would get Texas for one. Georgia, Texas, that could be a good matchup. And I'm trying. Well, they do play Auburn every year, don't they? So I guess that would be one of them. And who would be the third team?
So do you feel bad for Auburn at all? If Auburn's two teams are Alabama and Georgia, you got to give Auburn Vanderbilt then.
Hugh Freeze is gonna be like, "Are you serious?" That's like 2 losses right there.
This is not why I came back to the SEC.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
All right. So, yeah. I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but I definitely understand why the SEC did what they did. So, there's a bunch of NFL news all over the place today. Derek Carr decided. Now, Derek Carr is a pimp because his team said, we don't want you anymore. Yeah. And he had a no-trade clause. He went around and talked to the teams he wanted to sign to and then came back and said, hey, I'm not waiving my trade clause. So you don't get anything for me.
I don't blame him one bit.
Not at all. I would do the same thing.
The NFL is a business. He made a business decision. He did what was best for him, and I applaud him for doing that. So what is this contract? He got signed $150 million. $100 million guaranteed, I believe.
Right, and 150 is like with incentives or something. Yep. So I haven't looked at the whole structure. It only came out for us like in the last hour or so, I guess. I'll say this about Carr and the Saints.
Yep.
Derek Carr on the Saints last year being steadily productive, they can win that division last year. Yeah. And then this year, the division looks like it's falling apart anyway.
Yeah.
So
remind me who else is in that specific division again. I don't.
Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay.
Oh, come on. Saints come
on. Full disclosure, I picked them to win it last year, and that kind of blew up in my face. But I think having a steady hand at quarterback, not spectacular.
Yeah.
But I don't think they need it spectacular. Sometimes they just produce a little bit.
I think New Orleans has a pretty good defense. And then on the offense, they got Kamara. I think Michael Thomas should be healthy. Chris Olave, he's got weapons there. So I think, I really think New Orleans should easily come out of this division. I mean, Brady's gone from Tampa Bay. Carolina's Carolina. And the Falcons, I don't even know what nice to say about the Falcons. It's just
Speaking of the Falcons, Calvin Ridley did get reinstated.
He's on Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, he's on Jacksonville. Okay. So that's a nice sneaky. They didn't have to give up much to get him. If he can return to form. And you know the biggest lesson in this, guys, please, no matter what you're doing, never bet on Atlanta.
Don't do it.
Just don't do it. Friends don't let friends bet on the Falcons.
If you are watching the 28-3 game, then just listen to what we're saying here.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I think him and Trevor Lawrence can make a nice little connection there. So.
Yep. And Kirk actually had a better year than expected. And I think they tagged Ingram to keep him. So I think Jacksonville already made some noise last year.
Yeah.
And made the second round of playoffs. I think that they're poised to really move along.
I agree. And I've told you this numerous times. I think Trevor Lawrence he's a future Hall of Famer. He's got everything that you're looking for in the quarterback side.
You told me that before. You told me you hated Trevor Lawrence because of Clemson.
Yeah, just like that part of him. Yeah, but as far as him being in the NFL, I'm not like a Trevor Lawrence fan or whatever, but he's going to be a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true. Well, I think they're definitely heading in the right direction now, and I like those pickups. So, what else is going on in NFL? Geno Smith re-signed with the Seahawks for, I think, 3 years.
Shout out to Geno Smith. Had a good year, made it to the Pro Bowl last year. I did not see that coming. I thought he was going to have another rough year, but I was very, very happy for him and how his season turned out. So, good for him.
I think this is a good move by Seattle just because they needed more pieces, and there was no need to trade a lot to get a quarterback. Geno can get you through the next couple of years or whatever. Yeah. You have plenty of draft capital if you did decide to change. But
they turned out better than Denver. So
they're clear winners in the Denver fiasco.
But hold on, Denver now has Sean Payton, so it's going to be interesting to see what type of turnaround they have next year.
Yeah, Denver has great pieces, and now I just saw an alert actually come by that Denver is actually shopping Cortland Sutton.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting because they're way behind the 8 ball as far as picks and everything. But if Peyton can get Russ on track, I mean that's where it starts.
I agree, and I don't know if it's my phone, but I haven't got that alert yet. So hold on. Well, I did not get the alert. So yeah, please call Apple on the iPhone. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I did not get the alert yet. So
quietly shopping is the alert that I got.
Okay. Cool.
So we'll see what they can get for him and if they can get some of that draft capital back. But Geno Smith said, and that kind of leads you into a spot. Well, what did you say? Go ahead.
I just had one question, not talking about Denver, Geno Smith, but I had a question about the combine. I know Anthony Richardson's going up at the combine.
The combine is what we're going to talk about next.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, go ahead though. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess I kind of smoothly, or not necessarily smoothly, transitioned into it, but Anthony Richardson's looking really, really great at the combine. But so one general question: what exactly does the broad jump measure? Are you going to jump over the offensive line to get a first down and score a touchdown? I don't get that. What is that good for?
If he does that to score a touchdown, I'm calling you.
I would love to see that happen, but I have absolutely no idea what's that good for.
It's all a measure of how athletic he is, which is funny to me because I thought we already knew that going in.
Right, exactly.
So, I don't know. I don't know what it really proves for him, but they knew he was a freak. He just, I guess this is what I was asking you off air, Rodg, and we'll bring it on the air.
Yeah.
Combine versus tape. It's like I feel like tape should be what you're going by. But
I'm going with tape because I want to see you in real life action and playing in the SEC. And I don't remember what his percentages were, his completion percentages, but they were pretty low. Didn't do too great.
It's like 2 good games this year, I think.
Yeah, basically. So to answer your question, I'm definitely going with tape because I've seen what you can do in action. Now, as far as what you can do at the combine, just running fast, jumping high, and doing your ridiculous broad jump and the Wonderlick and all that, that's too and everything. But I need to see what you can do on the field. And we've seen what Anthony Richardson can do on the field. He's got I think a little bit of Cam Newton type flair, but he's got to work on passing. Because he's going to get hit a lot regardless of what team he goes to. And I don't know how long that body's going to hold up. He's in good shape. He's a big kid. But, yeah, I'm going with tape.
Right. And that it's interesting with this possibly pushing his draft stock up because I feel like a mid-round team that already has a starter, like Seattle would be a great place for him.
Yeah,
a starter in place and somebody he can come and learn under. I don't think Richardson starting in year 1 is the best thing for him.
Right. And if he did, it would be a huge downfall for him because he's going to go in there and he's going to throw some interceptions, make some unnecessary passes, make some bad decisions, and then there's going to be that one view the cameraman has where they're what are you holding? I don't know.
I just want to throw you off your game.
What I'm saying is they're going to have that one view of the cameraman where Anthony Richards on the bench with his helmet off and he's just sitting down and then the commentators are like, yeah, he looks so good at the combine, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I agree. Go somewhere where they have a good starter, learn from that guy for a few seasons, get some work in, develop as a passer, and we'll see what happens.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Where do you think Will Levis falls in all this?
Like I said, I think I told you it was last week. I think I kind of have this weird feeling Will Levis is going to be like a Josh Allen type of guy, simply due to his size, and he's gonna come here with somewhat of a chip on his shoulder because some people believe in him and some people don't. With that being said, I think he'll be the third quarterback taken. I think it's either going to go Stroud or Bryce or Stroud, and vice versa, whatever it may be, and then Will Levis.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if I'm Houston, I stay at number 2 and take whoever's left over out of Bryce and Stroud. I think Stroud showed enough. Go ahead.
Since we are Alabama fans, I guess people might want to know this. Who would you pick first, Stroud or Bryce Young?
Well, obviously, I'm taking Bryce, but that's not fair. If it wasn't Ohio State, I would say Stroud.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying I feel like from what I saw, especially against his game against Georgia, which is probably one of the few times I actually watched his entire game. If I'm Houston, I take whichever. Now, if a defender ends up going, if the Bears keep that pick, which I don't think they would or should, if the defender end up going at number 1, and now obviously that's with what's happening with Carter right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen to that pick or if they're going to take Williamson. If I'm the Bears, I trade back. Okay. But if I'm Houston, I do not make any trades. I stand pat at 2, and I wait to see which one comes out. Now, both of them are available. Then you go with your draft board, like whichever one you feel fits your system better. But I feel like both of them will be fine.
I like Bryce Young too. For me, I understand Bryce is a little undersized. He was like 5'10" and a half, and his weight was a little over 200. But for me, it's something we've talked about since we've seen Bryce start at Bama. He's just a very, I guess, cerebral quarterback. He makes the right decisions. He doesn't really make a lot of bad passes. Now, we can go back. I think he threw one against LSU this past season, which was extremely questionable. But for the most part, Bryce is
Alabama quarterbacks with turnovers in the first quarter against
LSU.
It's like a thing that keeps me up at night.
In one of the biggest games of the year, but which kind of doesn't help my argument. But anyway, Bryce. Overall, Bryce is just a great decision maker. He can scramble when necessary. He doesn't really take a lot of hits. The injury he suffered when playing Arkansas wasn't like a really bad hit. It's just more like a freak shoulder injury.
And the way he landed more than anything.
And the way he landed, yeah. So I think Bryce is going to have a pretty bright future, and I think I would pick him first. But C.J. Stroud's got a good arm, good size. I really don't think you can go wrong with either one. Now, with that being said, they're not going to have like a stellar first season in the NFL. They're not going to throw like 30 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. They're going to have a rough first few years, which a lot of young quarterbacks do that because you're getting adjusted to the speed of the league, size, everything, and they're going to be playing on bad teams, obviously. So they're going to need an offensive line, and they're going to have to build around these two quarterbacks. But it will be exciting to see both of them. Can't wait. I
agree. Last question on the combine, and then we're going to get into the 3 questions of death that I have prepared for you.
All right.
Gibbs had a good showing. Bijan Robinson obviously is the number 1 pick. Would you draft either, both, or neither in the first round?
I would draft Bijan Robinson in the first round. If I can get Gibbs in the second, if he's still there, I think that's a huge deal in the draft.
Right.
I do think Gibbs is
more versatile.
I think he has better hands, but Bijan Robinson is probably a little more dominant on the field. So I would take Bijan Robinson. And is the reason you're asking that is because what do they say about taking
running backs and positional value?
Yeah. Okay.
So
there you go.
Especially if you're going to have to replace them in 3 or 4 years. Like look at Zeke. So
that's true.
All right, so we usually end the season. We're coming on. We got about 8 minutes left, so we'll have some final thoughts after this, I think. But the 3 questions of death, some of these I have asked you before, but you might have a new audience now, so we got to introduce them. We got to break them in.
And for the 3 questions of death, I'm going to go ahead and switch.
Oh, okay.
Let's do it.
Get limber. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Baseball season's around the corner. It will probably never get talked about on here.
Okay.
But if you had to pick a baseball team to follow for this whole next year, who would you pick?
I'm going to go with the Oakland A's because I was an Oakland A's fan when I was younger, late 80s, early 90s. They had the Bash Brothers and McGuire and Jose Canseco. They had Ricky Henderson, Dave Stewart, Dennis Eckersley. They won the World Series. I forgot what year it was, to be honest with you, but that's who I liked when I was a kid. Remember when they had those starter jackets? I had 2 Oakland A's starter jackets back in those days.
Those were nice.
Yeah. I honestly can't tell you how good Oakland is now or how they did last season or how they're going to do this season. I just didn't keep up with them like I used to, so I would go with them. And if I had to pick a second team, it might be the Mariners simply because Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite all-time
I love
player.
how you're picking all your reasons from like 20 years ago. Oh, by the way, you did get one comment. I'll see over there. Paul Lewis.
Shout out to Paul.
Can we call him PJ on air, or do we have to go Paul?
We can call him PJ. I think he'll be all right with that.
All right. Appreciate you checking in, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Question number 2.
Yes.
It's where they get interesting.
All right. I'm sweating.
So Willie pulls you aside and he says, Rodg, you're big time. Okay. We're going to give you $750,000 a year to do the podcast.
That's it.
But you got wow. But you got to drop Herb and move to Auburn and be an Auburn fan to do the podcast. $750 a year.
It has nothing to do with the Auburn fan, which would make things be worse. But there's no way I'm dropping Herb. It's not going to happen.
All right, so we'll bump it up to $1 million if you take Herb with you and go to Auburn and become Auburn fans and do the podcast from Auburn every year.
I could not do it. I could not do it.
You better hope your wife does it. $1 million a year, Auburn fan.
What does being an Auburn fan mean? Does I have to wear
all your Alabama gear?
No.
Buy everything that you have in Alabama. You have to buy a matching Auburn instead. And
I can do that. If you give me $1 million, I'll do that, and I'll buy more Alabama stuff eventually.
Nope, can't buy Alabama stuff. You can't watch Alabama games unless
I'm turning down the $1 million. I'm turning it down. Can't do it.
Just stick it with roll time.
Yeah,
roll time.
Roll time.
All right, so here's where it gets a little goofy. Alabama just hired a new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Yep.
If you had your choice though, and you had to hire them, what Marvel hero and DC hero would you pick, and which one would you put in which one?
Marvel and DC hero. Oh my!
One for each one.
I know. Wow. I think I would go with Captain America as my defensive coordinator because he's just smart. He's kind of level-headed, but he's also tough. So I think he'll do what's right on the defense, and he'll be able to read the other team's offense. He seems like he's the kind of guy who would study like film with the team and make the right plays. I feel like Iron Man's too cocky. He's like, let the kids do it. I don't want to have anything to do with that. I've got to go to a banquet or something. So Captain America will be my defensive coordinator. That means
before you give the other part, got to give a shout out to Big Mike. He's been commenting on Twitter. Mike, we're not savvy enough yet to where we can like watch Twitter while we're doing this. So you have to give us a couple weeks before we can get in.
I was about to say, how do we even know that? But man, again, we'll figure this out in the next meeting, whatever the next meeting is.
Next production meeting, we'll figure out how we got to stay on Twitter. But appreciate you, Mike. Thank you always, man.
Yeah, shout out to Mike.
All right, so Captain America is your Marvel hero, so you have to pick a DC hero for your offensive coordinator.
Okay. Offensive coordinator DC. I'm thinking Batman, but Batman's intense, but it's like Batman intense. It's not like it's just like I don't know. It's weird. I don't even know why I just said that, to be honest with you. I don't know about Batman.
Okay.
I'm gonna my offensive coordinator. Wow, and I'm just trying to think who's all in DC. Of course, there's Superman.
You watched the Justice League movie, right? Pick one of them.
Yeah, I did.
Hey, the director's cut was great. If you had 4 hours to waste.
It was good. I'm gonna go with Flash because that means speed, and more speed.
Now you don't get any of the speed on the field. That just means he talks fast at every meeting and nobody
I know,
can
but
understand.
he's gonna speed everything. He's gonna speed everything up, and we're just gonna go fast and score a lot of points. And hopefully, with Captain America's defense, we'll be able to prevent the other team from scoring a lot. And but I like that question. That was a pretty cool question.
Yeah. And just for clarity's sake.
Yes.
I guess, hold on. We're going to play with this. Boom.
Big Mike says the defense coordinator will be the Hulk. Offense coordinator the Flash. And I can see the Hulk being a defensive coordinator.
If I miss the tackle, I'm not coming off the field. If he's waiting
on the side, I'm run as fast as I can in the opposite direction.
Yep, that's it.
I do not want to get Hulk smashed. Yeah.
Herb, missed the tackle. Okay, just drop my uniform on the field and say, all right, guess we're good.
You go up to the Hulk like, what happened to during the post game interview? What happened to Herb? Hulk threw Herb away.
Hulk smash.
Okay. Hulk smash. All right.
Alrighty. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody tuned in. Listen, I'm sure we'll have to go check Twitter and check some comments after the thing. So, Rodg, you have officially almost a few minutes there survived the first live broadcast. How do you feel?
Oh, awesome. How do you feel?
So I actually went through my Alabama pregame is usually always the same. Pick out all my Alabama clothes, take a shower. It doesn't matter when the game is. The game's at 11. I don't care if I've already I always shower, get clean, and relax and take a shot before I do that. And that's what I did before I came on here. So I was nervous, but then I forgot you're the talent. So really, I just have to just sit over here and not fall asleep in the middle of it. So
my goodness,
it was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. Seriously, man, it was fun. And again, shout out to Willie, shout out to Tisha. Just appreciate it, and we're looking forward to more. So, I guess we'll go check Twitter and check some comments. Willie was a big help getting us situated, even though he's got several shows. So we definitely appreciate him getting us situated before we got on air. So, final thoughts? You ready for some college basketball this week? Ready for some college basketball. Really, before college basketball, I'm looking forward to the Lakers hosting Memphis tomorrow night.
All right, so I guess it's almost time for us to go ahead and get out of here. Next week, still Monday at 7:00. Next week will be our bracket special.
Yes.
I don't know that I've ever gotten anything right on the bracket, and usually by the first weekend, one section of my bracket is shut down. So if you want to know how to win your office pool, tune in, watch my picks, and pick the opposite.
And get somebody who pays no attention to basketball to do your picks, and just tell them to pick some names. You might have a better chance of that.
Yep. Actually, we might put a group together so we can have some picks. And I know Mike has a group, so we'll post both.
Of course.
And see where we go. But Herbert Rodg Podcast, our first live broadcast. We have survived. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all next week.
Right. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.